Alright, so in this video, we're going to be mixing it up a little bit. We got some Nigerian women's football and some Nigerian women's basketball. Of course, the women's basketball team, the D Tigresses, are in the middle of AfroBasket, which AfroBasket is basically the WAFCON for basketball. And they're in the quarterfinals of the competition. We're going to be talking about how they've been doing so far. Then on the football side, we got Asisat Oshoala Debunks retirement rumors. We got the head coach of the Moroccan women's national team complaining about the game against the Super Falcons. And last but definitely not least, we got Esther Okoronkwo named fans player of the tournament on the Super Falcons page. So we're going to be talking about all that and more, a little bit more. But first, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. So yeah, I think first we're going to start with basketball. We've not talked about basketball in a while, so let's start with it. And AfroBasket started not too long ago, probably a week ago, and the Tigresses have already played 2 matches in the competition, won both of their matches. They're grouped alongside Rwanda and Mozambique. They played Rwanda first, had a great result against Rwanda. 92-45 was the final score of the game. But then came their second match, which was much tougher, the one against Mozambique. They ended up pulling it off 60-55. But like I said, it definitely was not easy for the team. For me, I felt like it was just a poor shooting day for the Tigresses. They were not hitting from 3. Even free throws were not falling. I think they shot a little bit over 50% from free throws, which is definitely not good. You need to hit those free throws, especially in close games. But at the end, I felt like the star players kind of made the difference. The Ezine Kalus, the Promise Amokamura, Mojanatu Musa, I feel like those 3 really carried the team towards the ending of the game. And for the most part, they just put their head down and went to the basket. And I feel like that's something we need to be doing earlier in games. You can't be waiting for your 3-point shot to drop. Sometimes it's just not going to fall. What you going to do? You got to get buckets. You can't be going back and forth, not making a 3. They go down, they make a 2. You come back, not make a 3. They get the rebound, make a 2. They're getting more points than you. And by the time you look up, you're going to be down big in the game. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't like the 3-point shooting and stuff like that. I have no problem with it. But you got to be able to mix it up. You got to be able to do other things to get points. The mid-range to the basket, post up your big, do things like that to get easier basket instead of just chucking up 3s all day. That's all I'm saying. Now, up next for the team will be the quarterfinal of the competition. That will be played this Thursday, tomorrow Thursday, the 31st of July, set for 10 p.m. Nigerian time. Their opponents on the day, they don't know yet because they have to wait for the winner between Cameroon and Angola. That game will also be played 10 p.m. Nigerian time today, Wednesday, the 30th of July. Now, definitely wishing the team the best of luck as they aim to win a 5th AfroBasket title in a row. Of course, the team is on a 26th game unbeaten run, and if they win the title, it'll be 29-0. So let's go for that. Now, by the way, Rina Wakama, still head coach of the side. Of course, she was the coach of the last Olympics. She got the award for best coach of the last Olympics. And still with the team, currently with Chicago Sky in the WNBA, but she took some time off to come coach Nigeria at the AfroBasket. But moving on, and we're going to talk about football now, starting with the Asisat Oshoala retirement situation. So the backstory is there was a fake account on Facebook that basically was a fake Asisat Oshoala account. They put out a post saying that she was going to retire. So people thought Asisat Oshoala announced her retirement on Facebook, even though mostly people know of Asisat Oshoala's Instagram and Twitter. Never heard of her Facebook before because most of everything she posts are on Instagram or Twitter. But those were the reports that came out. A couple of publications put out the report that she was going to retire after the WAFCON, retire from the national team, not from football altogether, but the national team. So those were the reports. I believe it was right before the semifinal that those reports came out. She never made any responses to those reports right there until she was asked after the WAFCON by a reporter. This is on Channels TV, and this is a response to the question right here.
I just think from today's game, what I would say is don't give up, keep fighting until the end. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. If you believe, only if you believe. To be honest with you, I'm always ready. I always tell my girls, like, stay ready anytime. You can get called upon. And when you get called on, go out there and show yourself. I don't know where that came from, and agenda must agenda. I get it, but I'm not bothered. I'm still here, I'm still playing, I'm still doing my job. That's what I'm focused on.
So yeah, real quick and easy. Never announced the retirement, never said any of such. So kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know. Hopefully it wasn't a Nigerian that came out with that, because it seems like it was something to try to sabotage the Super Falcons in their campaign, because you got a player of such magnitude with reports out there that she's going to retire, especially what went down previously to that, with the coach having to come out and basically call her out for discipline issues. So you would think maybe that has to do with something like that, and that could grow legs and cause issues while the competition was going on. But thankfully that didn't affect the team, and they ended up doing the job. I mean, for me, I felt like it was nonsense from the first time I heard about the reports. I mean, it just sounded like nonsense, because they were just trying to take advantage of the little rift, the little issue Oshoala had with the coach, and add to the fact that the team just went crazy on Zambia. 5 goals scored without Oshoala getting one. So they were like, okay, that means she is angry with everybody else, even though we saw her after that match, before the other matches, very happy, very lively, having great team spirit. So I didn't see Oshoala looking like she was sad about somebody else succeeding. She looked like she was happy for everybody's success. So I just felt like it was nonsense. But moving on, and we're going to talk about head coach of the Moroccan women's national team, Spaniard Jorge Vilda, and he's blaming VAR for the penalty call that wasn't given to Morocco in their matchup against the Super Falcons in the final of the Women's African Cup of Nations. Of course, this was when the scoreline was 2 goals to 2, and Tosin Deme in the box, ball goes and hits her hand, and the referee gives a penalty. VAR calls the referee after kind of a while of just standing there. The referee goes to the screen, comes back and says no penalty, and what he's saying is basically that the footage that he saw on the bench was not the same footage that the referee was given, and they're basically saying that it was a manufactured footage, and that's the reason that penalty wasn't given. Well, let's take a look at the quotes from the article. This is from ESPN. Morocco coach Jorge Vilda blames VAR penalty call for WAFCON final defeat to Nigeria. So these are the quotes right here. A couple of the quotes we're going to get into. We can't understand the decision made by the referee. She gave a penalty, but then the images we saw were not the same as those presented to the referee. So he's basically saying it's the VAR people. He's not really putting the referee under the bus, but the VAR people under the bus. The images were clear. We were sure she had given a penalty. I was sure she gave a penalty. I think maybe that's lost in translation. There was a penalty that should have been. The referee had blown for it, but then went to VAR. We saw there was a hand, but the referee took it off us. That's what determined we weren't able to celebrate this match. The penalty that was taken away from us. The fact it wasn't given as a penalty had an immediate effect on the players. It had a psychological impact that shocked us. It was a massive hit to the players. Then you get this part right here where he actually took a little bit of accountability. Said we should have managed better the second half. You think? We should have done it better, but no one could have predicted what could have happened. I don't think Morocco delivered a poorer performance than Nigeria, and we weren't weaker than any other opponents we faced. Our performance was exceptional even during the final. Apart from a few minutes, apart from the referee, we were better than Nigeria. It's sad, it's hard, it's painful, but the performance overall has made us proud. First of all, I think Ashley Plumpton's response was spot on. She said, when I stood there, this is after the penalty was called. Let's say they'd had it. I didn't think we'd lost because I know Chiamaka Nadoze is very good at penalties. So I'm preparing myself to go and follow it in. So basically she's preparing if Chiamaka makes the save, she can go in there, clear it out, and things like that. So that's what she's getting in her mind, getting herself ready in her mind. Then she's like, if they had scored, I still had this belief that we'd find a way. Obviously, it didn't happen, thank goodness, but I was thinking at that point, oh God, we've got to go and do it again. This is what this is what champions do. Champions don't fall apart because they didn't get one call. That's why when Morocco scored their second goal on the Super Falcons, which the player falls in front of the player, tries to make sure that she interferes with the player going for the ball, we could have been crying all night about that. We had our excuse. We had lasers in our eyes all through the first half. We had every excuse to say, you know what? This is just not our time. We'll come back and do it again. But that's not what champions do. So I think Morocco just needs to learn from the Super Falcons and stop crying for a moment. Just sit back and learn. Take notes. Don't cry. Take notes. Because even the fans fell apart. Let's keep it real. Even the Moroccan fans fell apart. What happened in the second half? Where were the lights? Esther Okoronkwo's game winner. Where were the lights? Where were the lasers? Nowhere to be found. Unless you want to tell me security came in there and cleared up all the lasers for later on in the second half. Because I saw them a little bit early in the second half. But when things started getting rough, even the fans forgot they had a job to do, which was put lasers in our players' faces. I mean, I guess their hands were busy from biting their nails, but for me, when it comes to that penalty, I definitely don't believe it was a penalty. I feel like the players' hands were in a natural position when the ball hit it, and it was even from a point-blank position. Like, there's not much you could do, and your hand is not in an unnatural position. So I don't know what you want them to do about that situation. That is not a handball. In my opinion, that is not a handball. So all that crying is unnecessary. You came, you tried, you played a good first half. I wouldn't call it the greatest. I feel like the Super Falcons just didn't come out to play in that first half. I don't know what happened, but that was not the Super Falcons we know. Not losing 50-50s to Morocco. That's not the Super Falcons we know. So that first half was just like whatever. That second half, I think that's what's really hurting the coach right here. Because this is a World Cup winning coach. He won the last World Cup with Spain. And here you are again, out-coached by this coach from Nigeria that's not even a full-time coach, just an interim coach, and out-coach you for 45 minutes of that second half. So I think he's in his feelings a little bit about that, what Justin Madugu and his side did to him in that second half. But it is what it is. I do believe it's all nonsense at the end of the day. The Super Falcons won fair and square. And if you don't agree, take it to court. Nah, I'm just playing. But next up, we're going to talk about the fan player of the tournament. This was put out on the Super Falcons social media handle, their X handle. As you see right here, Esther Okoronkwo wins the fan player of the tournament award, which pretty much is just a vote that is composed online. They do it normally after the games. They've done it after the games, after each game. And the fan player of the tournament is usually different from the CAF player of the tournament. I think every single game it has been different. So this time Esther Okoronkwo gets the fan player of the tournament. Of course, Rashida Tajibade, the CAF player of the tournament. So it all works out. At the end of the day, they both did a fantastic job. They both get awarded at the end. So pretty cool right there. But that being said, let me know your thoughts on all these topics we've discussed in this video. Put it in the comment section. And please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.